What if I told you that some of the most powerful anti-aging compounds scientists are studying today were already sitting on ancient dinner tables thousands of years ago? Not in labs, not in supplements, but in everyday foods people used long before modern medicine existed. And here's the part that gets interesting. Modern research is now discovering something unexpected. Some of these ancient foods don't just support health, they may actually influence how fast your body ages at the cellular level. But stay with me, because what you're about to see is not what most people expect. Number 4 completely changes how you look at something you already eat. And number 6 is so overlooked that most people ignore it completely, despite strong science suggesting it protects your brain and skin at the same time. Let's begin. 1. Olive oil, the food that slows cellular damage. Before we even talk science, consider this. Ancient civilizations treated olive oil like something sacred. It wasn't just food, it was medicine, fuel, and even used for healing wounds. But here's the question. Why would something so simple be treated with such importance? Modern science may have the answer. Extra virgin olive oil contains polyphenols and healthy fats that are strongly linked to reduced inflammation. And inflammation is one of the fastest drivers of aging in the human body. But here's the surprising part most people miss. It's not just about adding fat to your diet, it's about protecting your cells from breakdown. Some studies even suggest populations that consume olive oil regularly show slower biological aging markers compared to those who don't. But there's a catch most people never think about. Not all olive oil is actually alive, and that changes everything. 2. Raw honey, the only food that never really dies. Here's something strange. Honey has been found in ancient tombs, still edible after thousands of years. That alone makes you wonder, what kind of food doesn't decay? But the real shock is what happens inside your body. Raw honey contains enzymes and compounds that may help fight oxidative stress, one of the key accelerators of aging. And oxidative stress is basically this, the slow damage your cells experience every single day. But here's where it gets more interesting. The moment honey is heavily processed or heated, you lose most of what makes it biologically active. So the question becomes, are most people actually consuming real honey or just sweetened syrup? And the difference matters more than you think.
3. Pomegranate, the fruit that turns into cell fuel inside you. Ancient cultures didn't just eat pomegranates, they symbolized life, renewal, and vitality. But modern science is now asking a different question. What happens after you digest it? Inside your gut, pomegranate compounds transform into something called urolithins, and these compounds are now being studied for one very specific reason. They may help support mitochondrial function. Why is that important? Because mitochondria are basically your body's energy engines. And here's the key insight. When mitochondria weaken, aging accelerates. So anything that supports them may influence how young your cells behave. But what comes next is where things take a turn, because the next food is not exotic at all. In fact, you probably already have it in your kitchen. But almost nobody knows what it's actually doing inside the body. And that food is number 4. And this is where things get surprising, because it's something people use every day without realizing it may influence inflammation, circulation, and even how young the body functions at a biological level.
We're now getting into the second half, and this is where things start to shift, because the remaining foods are not just healthy. They start to influence deeper systems in your body: energy, repair, brain function, even how your cells respond to stress. And number 6, this is the one most people completely underestimate, even though science keeps quietly validating it. Let's continue. 4. Garlic, the food that activates hidden chemistry. Most people see garlic as nothing more than flavor, but here's what almost nobody knows. Garlic is chemically inactive until you crush it. The moment you break it down, a reaction begins, and that reaction produces allicin. Now here's the interesting part. allicin doesn't just sit there. It interacts with bacteria, inflammation pathways, and circulation in ways researchers still study today. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some studies suggest garlic compounds may help reduce oxidative stress, the same process linked to aging at the cellular level. So in simple terms, it may help your body age slower from the inside. But here's the real twist. Most people cook it wrong and destroy the active compound before it even forms properly, which means most people are not getting what they think they're getting.
5. Green tea, the quiet cell protection system. This one doesn't feel dramatic, but it might be one of the most powerful slow-acting foods on this list. Green tea contains compounds called catechins, and one in particular, EGCG, is heavily studied for its antioxidant effects. But here's where things get interesting. Antioxidants don't just protect health, they protect cells from breakdown over time. And that matters because aging is basically this: accumulated cellular damage over years. But there's another layer. Some research suggests green tea may support autophagy. That's the body's internal cleanout system. Think of it like this: damaged cells get removed, new cells replace them, system stays younger longer. But here's the question scientists are still exploring. Is this one of the reasons certain populations show slower aging patterns? The data is still unfolding.
6. Nuts, especially almonds, the one everyone underestimates. This is the one that surprises most people, because nuts don't look like longevity food. They look like snacks. But inside them is a dense concentration of vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats. And vitamin E plays a very specific role. It protects cell membranes from oxidative damage. Now here's where it gets interesting. That includes skin cells, brain cells, heart cells. So the effect isn't isolated, it's systemic. But here's what most people miss. Nuts don't just add nutrients, they help protect the nutrients already inside your body. That's a completely different mechanism, and over time, that protective effect compounds. But we're not done yet, because the final food is where everything connects, and most people already eat it without realizing its full impact.
7. Berries, the longevity signal food. Blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, they all share something in common. Deep color equals deep chemistry. That color comes from anthocyanins, and anthocyanins are strongly linked to reduced inflammation and improved brain function. But here's where it gets more interesting. Some studies show that regular berry consumption is associated with better memory performance and slower cognitive decline. Now ask yourself this: why would something so simple affect the brain? One theory is this: they reduce long-term oxidative stress in neural tissue. But here's the key idea. Berries don't act instantly. They act cumulatively, meaning the effect builds over time, which brings everything in this video full circle. Because if you step back and look at all 7 foods, a pattern starts to appear. They don't force anything in the body. They support it. They reduce stress. They improve repair. They protect cells. They stabilize internal systems. And maybe the biggest takeaway is this: aging isn't just something that happens randomly. It's influenced by what you repeatedly feed your body over time. Now, I want to ask you something. Which one surprised you the most? Was it garlic, nuts, or something you already use every day without realizing its impact? Drop it in the comments. I actually read them. And if you want more science-backed breakdowns like this, subscribe. Because the more you understand your body, the more control you have over how you age.